something.
Oh, hey, it's the Brights coming to you live, Sunday night live from our studio kitchen. You're supposed to say something right now about roll your eyes.
No, I'm not saying anything. Man, we're going to do, and we keep saying it,
know,
we're going
every
to do a pre-show to show y'all what marriage is really
Well,
about.
and we say that
with
because-
all the makeup and the resetting the clock over and over and over and over. And it's crooked and it's not. And,
because the enemy is trying to not let us make these videos. Like we're all in such a good mood until we get 10 minutes before we're about to go live.
And then it just goes
and
crazy.
Then everything goes haywire.
I mean,
like the lights stop working.
Why are you breathing that way? You know,
everything's crooked.
Yeah, that's what we want y'all to see. We want y'all to see the real marriage.
And so
okay,
tonight,
we don't want to see we don't want y'all to see like, hi, hope y'all are all tuning in.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that tonight. Whoa, we're making it all lopsided. So tonight we're going to talk about broken. No, not broken.
No,
we're talking about different. Not
different.
Broken.
We're different.
I was going to say that was you. Yeah. I always thought you were broken all those
years. We're different.
Hey,
not
Barbara.
Broken.
Hey, Barbara. How are you feeling? Hope you're feeling great. So tonight we're going to talk about celebrating our differences, and we're going to talk about how our differences actually made us better, but we didn't think at first that our differences were making us better because they were always a rub. Our differences were always
so
a huge rub.
annoying. I mean, I remember when I first was dating Sherry, it was really cool because going to her house, if you open up her refrigerator, she would have the Tupperware in there.
We're just jumping right into it.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it was all organized. And I mean, this is what I remember, you know, and I'm like, wow, she's really organized. But I wasn't thinking one day this is going to drive me insane. I was thinking, wow, she's really organized. This is so cool. Look how everything is labeled.
Yeah, you know what he was thinking at first? Wow, she has food in her refrigerator.
Yeah, that too.
That's what he was thinking.
But she had one of those label makers that she would actually go and print out a little label and stick it on the Tupperware, and it would say,
"Don't judge me."
Lasagna Wednesday, and have a date and everything. And I'm like, who lets it sit in there long enough for that to go bad? I mean, just do the smell test, like, still good, or ooh, that, you know, that's a science. That never happens.
Anything out of the refrigerator does not matter.
I remember going, those green enchiladas were awesome, and she goes, I didn't make any green enchiladas. But still,
and he would still eat it. It didn't matter, and so that's just so he just jumped right in talking about how we're different. So we're getting better after almost 16 years. We're learning to celebrate our differences, but there's still a rub, and there's some days that we don't celebrate them because we always say when we do our comedy, we're like, you know, we learn that men and women are different, and that we are supposed to celebrate our differences, and we always go celebrate. You know, it's not so exciting when you're first married and you're trying to celebrate everybody's so opposite than you. And so, yes, Richard and I are really opposite, probably just about everything. I mean, if you made a list of all the different things.
Just like a magnet, that's why it attracts, because we see something that we like in that opposite because we don't have it.
Or that they have, that we want, maybe.
Yeah, and we don't know. Sometimes we do this subconsciously, that when we see that, you know, she's really laid back and I'm go. But when you see somebody chilling, you're like, man, I wish I could chill like that. I need that in my life. And you think that at the beginning, but then all of a sudden, you know, in marriage, you're like, why are you always chill? Why don't you get up and go? Why don't we do things? And it become
totally
a rub.
Not talking about me,
no.
But because we're both very type A. But we know lots of couples that are like this. That's what attracted them. Like polar opposites.
Well, no, like spontaneous.
We're going to talk about that. I'm talking about the chill part. Like we have friends that are super on the go people, and they're just all, you know, they're very outgoing, and their spouse doesn't ever want to leave the house. They don't like to go on dates. When they go out to eat, they don't have anything to talk about, and they're like, how? And I think, what attracted you to begin with, you know? And it's like, well, they had that trait, and I thought it was awesome, but sometimes that thing that we love, that we probably need, drives us insane. Trying to when we're somebody that it's a rub. And so like for Richard and I, because I like things organized, like he just was talking about how I would organize all the stuff in the refrigerator. And okay, so let's say this. When I met Richard, he was starting a construction business, and the back of his truck had total chaos.
Oh, so we're going there now.
Well, you went right to me.
So
like you told them about my labels on my food, like right off. So I'm going to the back of the truck. So the back of the truck, it looked like you opened up the back of and this thing would open like this deal. It wasn't a truck. It was like a thing that had
it was a Bronco.
Like a Bronco. And then so you opened the deal and he had all of his tools and everything. But there was nothing organized. It was just box O tools. Box O tools, that's what I called them. And there were lots of box O tools. And nothing was labeled. And so as we were together for a while, I would start getting these receipts. And I would think, how do we have 13 hammers this year? Like, how do we buy 13 of the exact same hammers? And it's because he could never find them. We still had them. He just didn't know where they were.
They were in the Box O tools.
Box O tools or in the garage. And so I decided after a couple of years and we started to put this business together that I was going to help him get organized because I'm the one that likes things organized. So I was going to alphabetize things and I was going to have everything labeled in the back of his truck. So I went to the Container Store. I bought all these boxes and I had that little label maker and I had everything clear boxes so he could see through them. And it was going to be, he was going to just be...
Yeah,
amazed
I was going to be totally excited at not.
So what he decided to do, and this was something we were going to do together. I thought I was going to on a Saturday. Well, instead he got up super early that Saturday.
Well, I asked her. I said, "Hey, what time do you want to do this?" And she goes, "How about 7?" I said, "Okay." So I got up at 6.
Mm-hmm. But he didn't know because I was going to surprise him with all these boxes and all these markers and all these, boxes and all these things that I had to label.
Maker.
And so he got up early. So I got up a little bit later. He turned the alarm off so I couldn't hear it. So a couple hours later, I'm waking up going, like, where's Richard? Like, what happened? So he said, don't worry. I already did all of the organizing. And I was like, you already got the box? Like you knew that they were in the back of my car? And he said, no, I used my own boxes. And I thought, where did you get the boxes from? You know what he used? Empty cat litter boxes.
I'm cheap.
Because he hoarded them in the garage.
I didn't want to spend them. And so she was telling me, why don't you throw those things away? We're never going to use them. You'll never use them for anything. So now I got to use them.
Yeah.
So and I saved myself $30.
So blue and yellow, bright blue and yellow cat litter boxes. It said cat litter stuff all over it. And he had got masking tape and a marker. And he cut it with it. Didn't even cut them nice. He tore it with his teeth. And he had them all labeled with these big marker things of everything in the back of his truck.
And when I opened up the back of the truck, she just fell out and fell unconscious.
I was about to die. And so we had a huge argument about it. But so these are the things that, just so you know that if y'all are going through things and you're opposite, we're opposite. I mean, literally opposite in just about everything. To celebrate those differences, but it's taken years of us going through it and really, it sounds great on a video, but like we're supposed to celebrate. But it was hard for us to celebrate those differences. Some days it still is, but we had to really take some of that stuff to God and say, okay, why is she so different? Why is he so different? And instead of asking God to change, because I would always try to change him, he always was trying to change me. We had to say, God, what does he have or what does she have that I can learn from? What is it that, God, you're trying to work out in me? Because obviously you put us together. So what is it that we can learn from this situation to become better? Which was really hard.
So that whole thing that we said in other videos about living as me instead of living as we instead of living as me, only taking 9 to 14 years on average. These are the things that are the foundation of your marriage. These are the things that you go through. All right. We have to go through to grow through. Okay. Mm-hmm. Nobody gets out of this unscathed. Nobody gets into, hey, you want to get married? Yes, let's do this. Oh, for God.
It's going to be perfect.
Amen.
Everything you do is going to compliment me.
Right.
And
you complete me. And, it just doesn't happen like that. We're going to rub each other the wrong way. And that's how God intended it, so that eventually I could see that, you know what? I do need some organization because I'm just living in chaos. All of my tools are everywhere. I'm having to go spend more money to buy more tools. And then the next day I find the tool that I needed, but I've already spent the money. And then I can't take it back because I've already scratched it or damaged it. Mm-hmm. And so here I am thinking, I need to get more organized. But it wasn't like I had an aha moment. It was gradual. And over time, I started to like the organization. I started to like, you know what? When I open up a drawer, even in the house, it's not a bunch of forks and knives and everything, and we had to dig it around. It's all organized, and I started to like that. So
yeah, and so now, 16 years into it, he likes the house order, and I even ask him sometimes. But there are things that I like organized, and we kind of talked about this. I gotta fix this real quick. We kind of talked. I just lost y'all. Sorry. That people were laughing at me a couple videos ago when I was talking about that I organized Richard's underwear and his socks, and so I rotate them in the drawer so they all get used equally. Well, I tried to put that onto him when I first met him and tried
how important it was
to do all these things, because that lady that wrote that whole thing about tidying up, that whole movie, now she has a book and now she has a show. That could have been me. I just didn't know that you could market it, and so I was always trying to put that on Richard. What I've learned over time is if it's important to me, it's okay for me to do it. I just need to leave him out of it. Like, if it's something important to me, I just go in there and do that. He's fine with it. I'm just not trying to make him
do it too. But also, I've had to realize that if it's important to her, then it needs to be important to me too, because I just can't blow her off and be like, so what? Not important to me. Even though I wear them till they get holes in them, then chunk them.
But
get some new ones.
Gotten really good about knowing that I like things organized in the drawer and at least trying to put things back where they go. He's very good about doing that. But it's taken us years of doing it. But I think some of the stuff we would do on purpose because we had all these underlying major issues. And so the little things we would just constantly rub on because we were sweeping under the rug all the big things. So the organization thing was a huge thing where Richard was not organized and I like things organized. So I had to ask God, what are you trying to teach me in this? I thought, well, you need to know what God's trying to teach you. He's trying to make you organized because I'm trying to help you. But then I had to say, God, what can I learn? Why is it such a rub? And so God was telling me, take it down a notch. You don't have to label everything in the refrigerator. Just buy some clear glass things. You'll be able to see what it is.
Did it have anything to do with control? Could it be
it was control. I was control issue. Because I just wanted everything to run orderly. And I still like things orderly, but I've learned that I can't always put that on him. And so then some other things that we were different was my number one strength is activator. And so activator means when I see something, this comes to mind. When Hannah was like in 4th grade, they said, she needs a tutor to help her with some reading. And so I was like, okay, that's fine. I got my car. I went to the bookstore. Remember, I bought all these workbooks. I already had called a tutor. I mean, I had it all set up. By the time she got home from school that day, we were going to be ready to roll. Well, he's freaking out. His ex-wife is freaking out. Everybody's freaking out because I'm such a, what do they say, overzealous. And I'm thinking all I'm doing is being activating things. And so when I would meet Richard, or if we went into something happened like some drama, he would say, Sherry, just take the high road. You don't always have to just jump on stuff and activate and be in defense mode. And it drove me crazy because I wanted justice.
You don't always have to fix it either.
I don't always have to fix it. So he was really good.
You don't have to address it. Let God work this out, because this person, even if you go to him and you tell him, hey, I'm sorry, this and this, they'd be like, yep, it's all your fault. It doesn't matter what you say, they're never going to see your side. They're never going to be on your side. So you trying to make them see your point isn't going to work.
And it wasn't always me trying to do something negative. It was like I was wanting to fix things. I just thought, I see a problem in that relationship, and it could have just been work or somewhere we were volunteering, and I thought there was a better way to do it, or I didn't like the way I wanted people to like me, and so I was like, well, I'll force myself, and we'll just make this happen. And he would just say, Sherry, just take the high road. Just choose peace, go on the high road. And I hated it at first, but then I know they're supposed to let my husband lead. And so, but by doing that, he taught me, what I learned from that was that most of the things that I wanted to fix or I wanted to address actually worked out on their own when we just let a little time go by and we prayed about it and we just trusted God.
It worked out better than if we'd have done it ourselves.
Yes, and sometimes it just, like nothing ever even, it just kind of went away or something great happened. But a lot of it was me not submitting to him and me or to God and just wanting to do what I wanted to do. So that difference really helped us a lot. What's funny is how it's flipped years later, because now Richard's like, and not about drama, but about like wanting to get things done. He'll say, give that person a call. that lead came in, call him right now. And I'll say, well, I'm just feeling like we're just supposed to just wait and have peace about it.
I'm like, no, call him now. Do it now.
And he's like, why do you procrastinate? I'm like, I'm not procrastinating, but you taught me about waiting and how I learned. That's right. Chris said silence is golden.
Don't do me on me. Okay, don't do me on me.
Don't do me to me. And I said, you're the one who taught it to me. But as I listened to the Holy Spirit and I started learning how to pray and I started really listening to that inner voice, I learned that sometimes just wait, because something better. God's got a plan. Most of the time, the things that we both want to jump on, now we're just starting to have that complete agreement to where he trusts my instinct and I trust his leadership, that eventually we still rub, but most of the time now we realize that, wow, we just kind of waited this through. We did it different and it worked out.
That whole 9 to 14 years, we've been together 16 years now. We've learned that if one of us is heated, if one of us, our emotion is way up here and we come, ready for war, then the other one puts the white flag up and has a surrender flag and just doesn't, we don't both go there at the same time. But you know what? That has taken years and years, even though we were a little feisty before going on, because we're trying to get everything situated because we want this to be right. We want this to be perfect. And what's funny is we're like, man, I want people to see what really happens behind the scenes.
There's no way to. I guess we have to get another video thing to video the thing. What's happening? But and
we weren't angry.
No,
we're not
just,
yelling.
We were snippy, and I finally just said, "Do you want to do these? Like, are we like?" We just knew what it was. We knew it wasn't each other that we were.
And she grabs the makeup thing, and she's.
Because he says, when we do it
she's jabbing it into my eye.
He says, when we do it this late, I'm so tired and I look all tired. And I said, well, I can fix that. Like, I'm an expert. And so, plus we get the lighting right. And so, back to the video. So we're talking about, too, some of the other things that we were different in. One was being the type A. So both of us have a type A personality when it comes to getting things done and all that. But Richard... So we did personalities once before, where you usually have the two strong personalities. So or the two top. So I have choleric, melancholy. Richard is a choleric, sanguine. So we're both the type A's, but the secondary thing we have, which really shows up a lot in our rub, is he's a sanguine. So he's very people oriented. He's very much an extrovert. He is very relational, and his strengths, when he did the Strength Finder, communication is in his top 5, self-assuredness. Like, he loves to, if you saw how many text messages Richard has, I mean, thousands every month, because he's constantly texting people, and and it's all like inspirational stuff. He's like talking to all these men and like and giving them all this help about marriage, and it overwhelms my brain. I can't even be that connected to people as he is.
I think it's you're talking it out.
Yeah, maybe so. So the second one is, for me, is melancholy. Well, I am like super introvert when it comes to being at home. I don't want to talk to a lot of people. I want to read a book. I want to be on the computer. She wants to
organize.
I want to organize. I want to get my little label maker out. And so it was really hard. He always wanted to have people over to our house.
She's an introvert, extrovert, and I'm too extrovert.
Yeah, he's a double extrovert. So it was so intense. Sometimes it just felt like he was violating my space, and then he always wanted to have people over. And unannounced, which is like the major
guys, don't do
worse
that.
than the golden rule for me. Like, do not break that rule.
She's got to get out, and there's a leaf on the sidewalk, and I'm like, no. The sidewalk has to be completely swept off. There can't be any dirt or a leaf or any. I'm like, who cares? And she goes, the house hasn't been cleaned. I'm like, the house was cleaned like 3 days. That was 3 days ago. It hasn't been cleaned today. Like, who cares? I
just want to pick it up. And so when we met, when we were first together, the first few years, we never had anybody over to our house because I just did not like people over. I didn't like them in my space. I just didn't like it. And I couldn't understand why he always wanted to have people over. And it was really an issue. I didn't even know it was an issue so much until now when I could see it would kind of shut him down, like, because he's energized by people. And so I said, well, when we go to church on Sunday, we see people all day. And so to me, going to church on Sunday was my extrovert day. I could talk to everybody, do all my little stuff. And as soon as I got home, man, pajamas, relax, not talk to anyone. And so we finally started having people over. And when our house flooded year before last, Yeah, because now it's 2019. 2017, our house flooded from Hurricane Harvey. We weren't home for a year. And, God really spoke a lot of stuff to me about what was important to us as a couple, to our life. And just the things that we thought that we were chasing after before became a lot different on the scale of things. So we got our house put back together. And now one of the things we said was when we get back home, we are going to break bread with our friends and have friends over. And we do a lot.
And
we play games,
nice.
and it's so nice. And so what he taught me about his personality was to, for me to step it up a notch, and to come out of my shell and to come out of my dark. I think a lot of it was because we had a lot of stuff going on in our relationship, so there was a lot of darkness. And
guys, we had to deal with that. I mean, we had to deal with the drinking. We had to deal with the cocaine. We had to deal with the pot. We had to deal with the pornography. There was a lot of stuff that we had to deal with. And it wasn't like we talked about it and it went away and it was dealt with. This was years and years of stuff that was just slowly tapering away from us. Not us. We didn't want to live that lifestyle anymore. But when you're in it, it's hard to walk away. It's hard because you think you're giving something up. Guys, we're going to be different. We're going to rub each other different. And God has designed that because if we were both the same, then one of us isn't needed. We're supposed to pick the good stuff from our spouse and accelerate that and bring that to the top. And the negative stuff has a tendency of working itself out because that other spouse doesn't want to let you down, doesn't want to let God down, and says, you know what, that negative thing that I'm doing is wrong. That needs to go by the wayside. So guys, don't give up. I mean, we've got to fight for our marriage. It's not like it used to, when you see these people getting divorced, we come from divorce. All right. If we would have known then what we know now, it would have been different.
Mm-hmm.
But
stop talking. That's what you said.
Oh, sorry. Anyways,
I was going to say too, that was a really good point because whenever we focused on the things that were wrong, that we thought were wrong, that they were just maybe just different, they weren't always wrong. But when we were focusing on the differences that we didn't like in our spouse and not focusing on all their good qualities, it just seemed like the things that were their bad qualities were just getting bigger and intensified, and we couldn't think of anything else, and we were constantly rubbing and constantly picking and constantly strife until we started saying, you know what, let's concentrate on the things that are good about my spouse. And because whatever you concentrate on is what's going to happen. It's just how life works. When I used to be in Mary Kay, I wanted a red Grand Am. That was the free car that you would win in Mary Kay. And I don't even remember seeing a red Grand Am until I decided to focus on it. And everywhere I went, I could tell you, I could just go to the grocery store and see 7 red Grand Ams. All of a sudden, they were popping out of everywhere. They were always there before. I just never saw them. So we took that same theory and started doing it in our marriage and focusing on what was good. And that started to kind of turn some things around for us. Hey, Jason Earl, I just saw Jason say, always keeping it real. We do keep it real. Go ahead.
We do these videos because we believe in the sanctity of marriage. We believe the bond of a family. And if our family unit is good and strong and healthy, then the environment around us will get healthy. And if that environment is healthy, then the neighborhood gets healthy. And if the neighborhood is healthy, then the city gets healthy. And if the city gets healthy, then the state gets healthy. If the state can get healthy, then the nation can get healthy. This isn't about people, in politics. It has nothing to do with politics. This is about living the right life and helping other people and loving others.
And marriage is the foundation of this country. When marriages start failing, the country is failing because marriages are falling apart. There's no other thing that all that other stuff is happening. Yeah, politics and all that, but we have to keep our marriage foundation strong, because when the marriage falls apart, our country's going to fall apart, and we see it's happening right before our eyes. People don't realize how important marriage needs to become popular again. Marriage needs to be. We're just on this mission that we see what happened with us, and we should not have made it. We should not have been this far. If we had quit whenever we had thought about quitting a few times, and whenever we wanted to get divorced, had we quit, we would not see what we see right now. We would not have gotten to the other side.
We would have never experienced it.
All the things that God had for us that the enemy is trying to stop. And if the enemy is trying to stop, usually the enemy is trying to get you right before something good is about to happen. So if you focus on that, you can change. So I was going to say too, is one of the examples that I remember is when Richard and I were first together, and we're better about it now, but this was the hugest problem. Weekends. Richard wanted to go off for the weekend. Well, you know what? Your friend would call, Rick.
Yeah.
He would call and he would say, hey, I got the beach house. Nobody rented it this weekend. If you guys want to go get it, the key,
Go for
you know
it.
where the key is, y'all can go up for the weekend. This would be on Thursday.
Like, done deal. Man, I'm heading out
Richard's
right
already
now.
out in the garage
Packing.
packing up his stuff. And then he comes to tell me, or he might not even remember to tell me until Friday morning, like, hey, throw your bathing suit in, let's go, put your bikini,
Get a
let's go.
toothbrush and your bikini, and we're out of here.
I am a person that likes order and control, and it would just send me over the edge. And he was like, you're not spontaneous, you're never fun. And I was like,
You're
you're
always
just so
trying to
not
block my good time.
You're not responsible. And we'd have this huge fight trying to go. And then I'd end up giving in because he'd wear me down. I would go, and then I'd be upset the whole weekend because I was thinking about all
Ruin
this
the
stuff.
whole weekend because she's angry.
Or he would try to trick me before we'd go, and he'd say, honey, I promise on Sunday when we get back, I'll help you get all the kids' stuff ready for school. We'll make all the lunches. We'll get everything laid out for the week. I'll help you clean the house. Liar. But what would happen is we would go all weekend. He was fishing and drinking and all this stuff. When we come home on Sunday, he was exhausted, and then I would be stuck with all this stuff with the kids and trying to get stuff ready for school. And then I'd be angry with him, and the resentment would
But you know
build.
what?
And this was
We
how
fought about it
played.
for years until one weekend she just happened to say, do you know why I get so upset? And I was all like, yeah, because you don't want to go and you're trying to ruin my weekend. And she says, no, I think and I plan everything out. So on Friday, I'm thinking, okay, the laundry has to be done. We have to get groceries so that I can make the lunches for the kids on Sunday evening so that they would have lunch and and she had everything lined up. And she goes, and if we leave on Friday and I don't get to go to the store and I don't get to do laundry and I don't get to, then I'm behind. And my mind, all I can think about are, I got to do this and this and this. And there's no way I can do it because we're at the beach.
Because I want to pay first and play later, and Richard wanted to play first and pay later. Right?
But when she told me that, that's exactly right. But when she told me that, I just had one of those aha moments. I go, wow, I did not realize that. So then that put a whole different perspective on it for me. I thought, I got to help her make sure that this stuff is done. And so now when that would happen, hey,
he would say, how can I help you?
Right. We got a chance to go Friday. Are we able to go? And if she said no, I wouldn't push the issue. But you know what? That takes time to get there,
And so now we know most of the time we can't leave on a Thursday or Friday. Actually better now because the kids are older and we don't have as many responsibilities with that. But he knows now, how can I make your life easier? What can I do for this to happen? Like if I want this to happen, how will it make it, how can I serve you? And I know he needs sometimes to get away. How can I serve you? I know that's what he needs, but we've learned to just make that, again, it's not every single time because we still have a rub.
Mm-hmm.
But
and
for
the people that
most
we're
time-
hanging with are solid people. Mm-hmm. Not like before when we first got together and, it was, but anyways. The people that were like when I need to get away, sometimes I get to go away.
That's a whole nother.
but I'm
We're going to
with-
do a whole episode. Oh, we did an episode about that.
We
Thing
did.
about friends, but yeah, we need to talk about some more because that was a really popular episode about friends. So the last thing is that about this is because I think it's really important is that we were really different in there's 100 things that we're different in, but we want to wrap this video up. But one of the things, because a lot of you guys have kids, is that we really had a huge rub, and now looking back, we can say we're sorry and we've forgiven each other for it, but probably one of the things that almost broke us up was how we disciplined the kids and how different it was. And now we have a blended family. We still have a blended family, but then we had a 5 and a 7-year-old that had come to live with us. And my daughter was off to college, and I'm the disciplinarian. That's what I thought. I was the sergeant, and Richard was the fun dad.
Yeah. But you know what? This all came from childhood. My dad was a drill instructor in the Marines, so you can only imagine how our household ran. And he wasn't tidy and neat and organized, but it was always just his way or the highway. And the punishment just never fit the crime. And I always remember saying, when I have kids, I will never be this hard on them. I will never be this hard. And I just wasn't. And
the
so,
divorce, too.
And the divorce, so we're going through a divorce. We're a blended family. She was able to be a disciplinarian. I loved it. I'm like, yeah, get in there and tell them what they're doing wrong.
But Richard would say that because the divorce, he thought the kids were already hurting so much and they'd already gone through so much that we needed to kind of be a little more lax with them. And I thought, no, you do not reward bad behavior. These kids are going to run amok. They're going to take advantage of us. And hey, Steve,
we should have been,
we're going to just be.
We should have been in unity.
And we should have been in complete agreement.
In complete agreement, and not bury that, oh, I can go to Dad or I can go to Sherry. No, this is it. You know, if you do A, then this is, you know, B, C, and D are going to happen to you every single time.
I just
and we
remember
didn't. So
about whenever you would come in and say, he would go to the kids. So I would tell him something. Then he would go into the kids and say, okay, guys, you know how Sherry is. Don't do that.
We were all.
They were
I was
all
scared of her
me.
too. I was scared of her too. I'm like, kids, she'll kill us all. She'll take us all out.
But
you
he
know?
would just, so they weren't on my side. So then I didn't feel like he was on my side. And then, or we would take the kids' phone.
We
got
to do a whole blended family series.
So we would take like the kids' phone from them, and then I would want to make them stay for the whole week. And Richard would say, "Oh, let's just give it back. It's been a couple of days." I'm like, "No, they haven't earned it back yet." And so this is how we see Steve saying it's a very common problem. That's so true. And we should probably do a whole video about, y'all let us know if that's something y'all want to talk about. But we didn't ever get it right. We never did it right. We just completely didn't know how to talk to each other. We weren't forthright in our talking and our communication.
We were still learning all this stuff too. You know, divorce is fresh, church is fresh, marriage classes are fresh. All these things we were learning. Yeah. We were trying to put into practice, and we were just failing at all of them a little bit until we just kept on keeping on. And we started talking to each other different, started reacting with each other different, because the way we were doing it wasn't working. So we had to start doing some different things to get different results.
And so I know
it's gone way over.
I know we're wrapping it up, but people are on and they're saying, giving us some feedback here, so I love that. So anyway, so like I said, we didn't really get it right with the kids, but when we went to a blended family class, and we actually taught a blended family class a few years later, we actually said we were sorry to each other. And one of the things that we vowed to do is that we were going to help people like you guys who maybe are right in the middle of it, and we're going to help y'all learn the stuff that we learned that we wish we had done different. Right?
That's good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So looking back, I hate the fact that I played my parents against each other. Oh, I know, right? And then I see Steve saying that Susie's the disciplinarian. I find that hard to believe. Susie's like the sweet one. That's crazy. Okay, so I hope you guys are liking these videos. We love doing them. And so go to our YouTube. We're just kind of storing them on YouTube. People are watching them on Facebook, and but we're just storing them on YouTube.
Please share them.
So we do have the Real Brights YouTube channel. We have the realbrights.com, which is our website, and we are kicking off the EXO date nights for 2019-2020. We're already starting to take reservations for that. So we're going to do a comedy night and speaking. It's going to be a great mix for couples. We're going to be rolling that out soon. And what else?
That's it.
Everything. I guess that's it.
And just know that, man, we're praying for you guys.
Yes, we do. Every single morning, we are praying for you guys.
And get this. If we can make it, you can make it.
Yes, yes. And we appreciate your prayers. We always say we appreciate if you guys pray for us too. And we just love y'all. And I guess we'll see you next Sunday. Bye, y'all.
Good night.